Hey, how you doing? It's been a while. So as you may have noticed, I've been extremely quiet on here lately, and I thought I should probably give you all an update on what's been going on. I had big plans a few months ago, back when I had my uni break, to try and pump out some newer videos and make the most of the time off. I was waiting to get a haircut so I didn't look as scruffy, which is covered under this beanie now anyway. But in the time I finally got one, I had the worst possible thing happen to me. I got the blue screen of death on my laptop. I thought I could probably fix it, and then I ended up with the black screen of death. So I had no choice but to take it to the local computer shop and get it repaired. Turns out the hard drive was, well, in layman's terms, completely fucked. But I somehow managed to get all my data recovered. So lesson learnt to work off the portable hard drive now. Unless that fails. In which case I'll lose everything. But who wants to be making backups and backups? We got synth videos to make. So as you may have noticed while I've been rambling, things are looking pretty different here in the studio at the moment. Most notably, the big second box behind my head. While I was waiting to get a haircut and get my laptop repaired, I figured I might as well do something while I'm doing nothing. So I pressed forward with building some new modules and preparing everything for the next chapter of this project. So what's new exactly? Well, let's take a look. So first, the second big box. I'm just waiting to get a power supply and redo the bus boards before I start filling this one with new modules. So at the moment, it works really nicely as storage for crap in here, but the plan is to start filling this up with the drum modules and the control for them. Second, I started off deciding to upgrade all the old modules and fix the little things that had been bugging me. So first, I've added a CV input to the LFO rate, just by using a Vactrol, and then fixed up the pot so that it actually works the correct way, and the rate is slower to the left. Secondly, I added an LED to the envelope generator, as well as also adding a CV input to the decay control. Again, just using a Vactrol. I'll do the same to the attack as well soon, but I need to get some more LDRs. Thirdly, I added some LEDs to the outputs of the VCAs to give some indication of what it's doing. Fourth, I fixed up the white noise on the TTO. Turns out I didn't need the op-amp gain stage, and now it just works perfectly. I then also changed a few resistors around for the square wave generators, so now we can actually hear it. It's still a bit quiet, but way better than how it was. Fifth, I finally added the high pass input on the filter. I just need to get a nut for the socket, rather than holding it in there with blue tack. But hey, at least it's done now. I also decided to pull out some modules that were really achieving nothing and taking up room. So I pulled out the key power switch and the amp module. After that, I decided to also change the layout of the modules, so that the signal paths could actually make a bit more sense. So now my voice path is up the top with the TTO, filter, VCAs and mixer. Then I have my utility modules down in this corner, with my modulation sources following along. Then everything else is just kind of placed randomly until I sort out the second box. So after I made some upgrades, I still had the urge to keep soldering and decided to make some new modules and keep pressing forward. I'm also still trying to work out all the jack spots and switches for Gerald, so I figured I'll try and make some other ones that have been on my list. You've probably noticed these modules with the yellow and green LEDs, and these are the ones that will be moved into the second box once it's ready. But rather than going with the same blue LED colour scheme, I decided to shake it up a little bit. I figured red was a bit too basic, so then I couldn't decide between green or yellow. So I asked my partner which one would be better, and she said, why not both? Plus she absolutely loves John Deere tractors for some reason. Don't ask me why. But now it's in the same colour scheme for her. So what new modules are there exactly? Well first, before I was moving things around in the box, I had a 50mm gap up here to fill before I had an entire row filled. So I was looking for something fun, useful and small that I could squeeze in. I made a post on one of the Synth DIY Facebook groups and got a heap of suggestions on what to make. Lots of them unfortunately ones that I had already done. But one guy, Benji, who you should also check out here on YouTube, made the suggestion for a sample and hold. It seemed simple enough. One input, one output, and a sample input. But that seemed like a bit of a waste of space for all this room on the panel. So I decided to make it a dual sample and hold, and then added an adjustable gate output for each one of them. And then also add an internal white noise generator, so that they're always creating random modulation when the sample input has a clock signal, with the input sockets breaking that connection from the white noise when something else is plugged in. Well, that certainly made things tight for room, so it then took a lot of brain power to try and fit everything in. But I got there in the end, and now I can get fun random modulation and R2D2 sounds out of it. Next, I decided to make the kick drum circuit with a few extra features. So now we've got controls for the tune, decay, distortion, and tone, and some LEDs on the input and output, but this one's a bit pointless. But now I can at least have some sense of rhythm and tempo in the patches. After that, I decided on a kinda boring, but entirely necessary module, the clock divider. Nothing too fancy, but it has a clock input, a clock through, a reset input, and then 7 divided outputs, all the way up to 128th divisions. So now I can use it for timing different things throughout a patch, such as clocking the sample and hold with a divide by 2 output, and then triggering the kick with a divide by 4 output. That then led me to think about what else I can clock with the divider. So I decided on a Turing machine, with my own spin on how it works. If you've seen any videos on what this thing does, then you already know how it works. But for the uninitiated, it's somewhere between a sequence and a random voltage generator, where we can put a clock signal in to move these little bits around 2 shift registers, and then have them randomly flip according to where this pot in the middle is dialed in, with a locked sequence to the left, a completely random sequence in the middle, and then a Mobius strip sequence to the left, where each bit is subsequently inverted back and forth on each rotation. To really try illustrate the Mobius strip point and see how the bits flip, I broke all 16 outputs out to its own separate LED, and then arranged them in a figure 8/infinity style pattern, with the first bit starting here, and following along in a figure 8 pattern, and then wrapping back around. So it'll just keep constantly looping around and around. And now, I just keep constantly finding myself just blankly staring at the lights for minutes at a time, in some weird synthy trance. But the first 8 outputs are also connected to an R2R digital to analog converter, where it creates the CV output that we can use to modulate the TTO pitch, or filter cutoff for example. Then we also have a gate output, which lines up with the last bit in the sequence, and then also a white noise output. And that's pretty much everything up until this point. We'll cover how these new modules work in some in-depth episodes in the near future, so keep your eyes peeled for them over the next couple of weeks and months. And until then, I'll see you next time.